think we are live. Okay, we are live. Okay. Okay. So there we go. Um, I can't hear you yet, but I think you're
I was like, oh, we're live. I was on mute.
yes, we are live.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's the last time I did this, it was the first time with Victoria, I don't know if you've had. She was in the cohort with
I think she
you.
was. She
She
was.
was? Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like fumbling in the beginning, and then it was like, yes, like figured out technology, and
Well,
yeah.
isn't that applicable to this practice too? Like the first couple times you do it, you kind of fumble, like, am I doing this right? I don't know.
Mhm.
And the more that you practice, pretty soon you like build that muscle and you're like, yeah, I got this.
Absolutely. 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 And then things that, there might still be, I mean, for me, there is often still a sensation or whatever the
Hmm.
feeling, but it's not to the same degree, like with some of the things, some of the areas. So that's a nice thing to be able to see
Yeah.
some shifts.
Yeah, like I can actually remember when I was intentionally doing like breath work and questioning, like, am I doing this right? And then now that I have more practice, I can tell like I need more deep breaths. It's like the three is not doing it right now. And so, or that I have to hold it longer or exhale more.
Mhm.
And my body is like aware now, like, yeah, you need to slow down some more, get yourself
Yeah.
centered. It's interesting
Yeah.
how our body captures the data and it remembers and it tells you, like, yeah, you got it, or like, that was good, more practice.
More practice. Yeah, yeah. Our body really has a lot of information. Um, yeah, I'm thinking too about like with the breath and the breathing. Like I feel like I've just been noticing, I don't know how long, maybe a few months, but it's like um just like what was it? And now I'm like, oh, what is the sensation? But it's like even just like letting just like really relaxing, I think has been, I think it's something I'm like, oh, now I'm not remembering quite the sensation, but there's a way, it's like my shoulder, it's just like there's a particular ways that I'm like, oh, like I want a little bit more ease here and I'm not quite yeah, and what do I need to do? What can I do? What else can I try?
Well, when I do
Um,
it, I can always tell with my face.
mhm.
Like when I close my eyes and I do like a scan, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, it's tight here,
yeah,
or like I'm crunching here.
yeah,
I can
yeah.
always tell because I start from there and I'm like, oh
Mhm.
gosh, I'm like really tense. I need to
Mhm.
relax.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate you bringing me on live. Hi, everyone. I'm Vickie Oldman, and a dear friend is Sarah. And actually, didn't really know you until the course, but we're like in the same community. We're
Mhm.
in the same community of beautiful souls who like hold space. And I saw her post about this class, and I was like, I think I'm going to try this. And, I took it really because it's a way for me to build my toolbox. I've already was doing a lot of breath work and body work, and I love to learn, and I want to know how others are doing this or what other new ways to do this. And so your class was really, really great for me and expanding my toolbox. And you're so generous, Sarah. Like you shared and you it's like it's there. You're not gatekeeping because you're really generous in the sense of like everybody needs this. And so I really appreciated that. And it
Mhm.
also helped me when in the class being with other people because I learned from them and how the techniques you offered us and we practiced together worked for some and didn't work for some. So it
Mhm.
made me more aware as a facilitator and a practitioner of like, oh, I remember somebody not, maybe really aligned with this and what's a modification or what's a way to kind of tee it up. So everyone can feel the experience in a different way. So it was really helpful to learn that way too, is
Mm.
not just learning from you directly about the science, the learning, right? The body
Mhm.
and the practice and then the homework, but also to hear from the others, my peers,
Mhm.
about how it affected them. And I'm like, God, that didn't happen to me, so that was really good learning for me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember it, and thank you for like sharing all of that. I remember in that the cohort, it was open to the BIPOC community, and it ended
Mhm.
up being, I want to say, all BIPOC women, so Black and brown women, and it was just that, yeah, like that sense of community and like co-learning, which was definitely has been my intention with these spaces, like because I'm always learning, right? I'm always learning from, we're getting to learn from each other. But yeah, that was yeah, it just felt very powerful. I remember after some of those sessions, like going on a walk and just being like glowing, like, like, wow, this is very special and sacred space that we're in together.
And I
Yeah.
appreciated that about you and holding space for us in what you just named and that you shared. I'm also learning because I remember one session where you're like, you were very vulnerable. You're like,
Mm.
I'm still also really learning this piece and making it my own. And so
Mhm.
please, if any of you all know more to enhance this piece, chime in. So it was not just like, I'm the expert. It was more like, I'm also learning with you all. So please. And so I always appreciate folks who are holding space or who we're learning from offer that because, pretty much guarantee that there's somebody in there that knows a little bit about whatever we're talking about.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And can say it in a different way, like you said, like that hits and lands for somebody in the way that they need it, right? Yeah, it's a tricky thing, like, this, I mean, at least in my experience, being like a woman, a femme, small, like these pieces of my shaping, and then like that sense of like trying to get to in like my own sense of like competence and wisdom, and holding that, but not going too far, right? Just like that balance of things, and then finding what actually feels right, what feels aligned, and that self permission to keep adapting, keep growing, right? Try to practice some of these principles that we might hear from others, right? And take it on and get to yeah, like fumble with it and learn um and for me, like you joining, was really, really special. Like I remember, just like the identities you hold, right? And if you want to share any more, but I was just like, wow, this human wants to learn in this space from it was very like I don't know, it was very a very cool moment for me. And then also you brought like I really love that you brought, a younger person,
Mhm.
right? And that value of apprenticeship um
Oh,
and
so you
like
want to hear something about that?
yes,
So,
because that is just
so
such a thing, like
she's
so
so
important.
she's like, this is what she said. She's like, I think I found my pathway. I want to get knowledgeable and very familiar with this pathway, and I want this to be where I hold space or where I bring it into space when we're holding people, community, family. And so as we do our work together, I've been I've been like having her dip her toe and I'm like, do you think you could do the breath work here? Or do you think you can do some movement here? Excuse me. And so now I'm like, okay, well, you're going to open this space and you're going to bring us down. And
Yeah.
she has been doing phenomenal.
Mm,
And she's been just, applying it to herself. And it's
yeah.
helped her. So she's growing and stretching. So you should get her on here.
Yeah, I would love
Especially
that.
because she's young and she's
Hmm.
the upcoming generation. She is,
Yeah, yeah,
and we
yeah.
need to support and lift them and
Hmm.
encourage them to be in those spaces to help.
Yeah, and again to like lean into that sense of like wisdom and knowledge that, that again we hold, even if society or whoever doesn't necessarily um like say that, right? Or really make that a known thing, for us. So yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, I would love to have her on here. So Vicky, will you share a little, just like, again, like you said, these conversations are short, they go quick, but just a little bit more about maybe what are you up to in like the world, like who are you,
Mhm.
what's important, like for the
Mhm.
folks who might listen to this, like what's there, what's important for you, what's important for all of us.
Well, who am I, right?
Who are
I'm a
you?
woman. I'm a woman that has been shaped by so many experiences and shaped by my elders, my parents, my aunts, my uncles, shaped by ceremony, shaped by the lands that I've been on, home where my father grew up and my mother and and then shaped by people like you and other practitioners who have sprinkled, wisdom and also pushed like, hey, you need to stretch, right? And so, I knew that we're coming on live and it made me think about what do I want to say and share. And I believe that more and more people are becoming aware of how much of our indigenous practices that people are catching up. They're realizing like, oh, you guys knew that? Yeah.
Mhm.
And it made me reflect also to name that, my relatives, I that I knew all of these things and practiced these things since I was small, about
Mhm.
quieting, about listening, about feeling, and about observing and noticing what's around me. And, they've done padding, they've done singing, breath work, quietness. They've done like all those things. I think also just like even the pause, and because I watched and observed, right? And so as I'm older and learning about these new practices, I realized this is really not new. It just has a new name. It's
Mhm.
a science name or whatever name
Mhm.
that's labeled. So that made me feel joy knowing that I knew all this. I just didn't know. Of course, there are new techniques and new ways of doing some of the work that I didn't realize. So that's a little bit about me and about what and thinking about our conversation, what I wanted to name also that our indigenous people have been doing this for a long time, and science is catching up and showing
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, this does work, right? In terms of like work right now, it's really I'm just so glad that I have this practice because I'll get on Zoom calls with clients in preparation for an event and they come on like wired, like kind of like a
Mhm.
robot that's just sort of like overdrive, just the circuit's ready to like, just they're just worried about what's going on and they come in like that.
Mhm.
And I just listen for a little bit and then I feel like silence and pause does so much to get their attention. And then I'll just name what's going on and like let's align, let's ground. And our ancestors would do that before we eat, before we talk about something important,
Mhm.
before we go into ceremony or they always aligned. Let's ground, let's sync, let's align, let's level, the playing field so we all can go into a space intentionally. And so during the times now, I find groups and individuals need it more so, and they are so appreciative about it. And I find that it really does help them to do some good thinking when they are in touch with their bodies. And a couple of things that I've learned in this time frame is that when I first started to do it, live or not, well, in person in real time, I
Yeah.
actually was a little uncomfortable because I did it fine with my community. I did it fine in ceremony, but to do it with somebody I didn't know really well, there was a little discomfort there because I'm like, I'm reading and I'm kind of playing and figuring this out. And I also realize other people feel that way too. If they've never done it before, they're uncomfortable, they're kind of shy about it. So, and the more that you do it with folks, I realize they appreciate it. They're like, oh, I really appreciate the grounding. It always surprises me, but it doesn't when they say,
Mhm.
thank you so much for getting us in a calm state, for, getting my body in a place where I can be calm and really do some good thinking. And so I find that this work is so important and it helps our communities, it helps our people who are doing the work on the ground to go in more calm, steady, anchored, and grounded before making even decisions,
Mhm.
that may, as you know, any decision you make, it's a ripple effect. Do you want the ripple effect to be like, or do you want it to be soft and intentional coming in? So this practice has not only helped folks that I'm working with, but it definitely has helped me. So even before coming on, I did a couple of breath work and just grounded myself and,
Mhm.
had what I needed, water to keep me, energized and focused. So it's kind of a little bit of
Mhm.
me, a little bit about how I've been using it and how I think and why I think it's important in, especially now, in this climate that we're in.
Yeah. 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 Mm. Those, I was listening to a little bit one of your podcast episodes before coming on as well. And I heard you speak about the sacred pause on that with one of your podcast guests. And yeah, so um, yeah, it is. I mean, these little moments, even moments to just recharge, reground, reconnect with ourselves and like notice what are we needing, and I'm just gonna turn this light back on, but and it's like even if we can't give that sense of what we need, right? Maybe we can't do that right now. Like before the call, I wanted to take a nap, you know, or I was tired, I was like, but I didn't have enough time. So, but even there's still something about the fact that like I laid down for a few moments
Mhm.
just to like sense like, oh, my body like does want this and need this, and so yeah, like these things are really helpful and important. These, yeah.
I did
So
the same thing.
did you?
Yeah, I had it early, like every day. I get up around 4:35, and so I start my day early. And I could feel it. My body was like, "You need to take a power nap," and so I did. I took like a 15-20 minute power nap, and then luckily you reminded me because like my phone right before I turned it off, it said, you text me, and I'm like, "How much time do I got? I get enough time."
I know. Yeah. I was like, oh, I should check in because I'm like, am I gonna sleep through my alarm now? But yeah, but it's like there were times when I didn't do that, right? It just kept
Mhm.
pushing, and there is still, yeah. So it's, yeah, yeah. Again, we do what we need and what is available, and I think to me, this work is about slowing down to honor, yeah, like what's here, what do we need, like I mean,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
what we're saying is like, are you listening to what your body needs, right? And
Hmm.
so that sacred pause also, most recently, I facilitated a group. There's about 50, 60 people in there, and they were
Wow.
very chattery and uh, great energy. And there was a moment where I just stopped. I just stood there and I was just smiling at folks. And then they realized, oh, we need to focus our attention this way. And then I said, what did you just notice? What are you noticing about your body right now? How you're feeling and like what's going on? And, people are like anxious. And so just having people be aware, like having yourself be aware, right? Like
Mhm.
sometimes when I get an email or a text and I notice my body and I'm like, oh, that affected me in a
Yeah.
way that I least expected. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? And sometimes the first thing that I always go to is like pause and reflect, and then I take breaths. And sometimes I'm like, I need to move, but I need to do something. I need to shake it off. So I'll get up and shake my body or pat or go outside for a couple of minutes and take some fresh breaths with the air out there and then come in, even if it's like 2 minutes, and I'll come back and that helps to shift my energy. But the point I'm making about that is being aware of our body. And I think
Mhm.
there's been a disconnect of like feeling. How are you feeling? When you ask people how are you feeling, they never really answer that. They
No, like
avoid
the
the feeling word.
they do, like I think our bodies probably go into some mode so quickly, around that question. Yeah.
And the funny thing is I feel like it was the opposite. Like I felt like I was always talking about how I felt and what did I smell, what did I taste, what did that
Mm,
do to me, right? Because of how I grew up. And it
yeah.
wasn't until I went to school, I would say mainly college, where it was like in a work environments where it was like encouraged to like, you don't show emotion, you don't feel, you do, and
Yeah.
you power through. And now it's like that was all wrong. How I was raised was all right. And so it's like unpacking or unlearning some of those
Mhm.
things.
Yeah. 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 Oh my goodness, lots of unlearning. And I'm like, even when it like, yeah, even wherever we're entering into that, like to me, I really hold that belief of like it's ongoing and will be the rest of my life, right? Like the unlearning. And trying to be great, like having grace and like ease around like sometimes like I am impatient and sometimes, I don't want to keep learning, but like how do I just be a little bit softer with like whatever is here to learn now, and because yeah, recently I was like in some spaces and I'm like, oh, this is like so vulnerable. This is so confronting. Like I thought I had done, and I have. I've done some work around those pieces. And yet here's another space to engage, another layer, to work with it, to deepen, to return, right, to come back. So yeah, um it's I guess I've been curious and sitting with this idea of like, in this cult, like in the culture out here, the broader culture, there is still a lot of urgency. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of maybe not even like maybe even fear of like of turning towards some of these ways, right? These, as you mentioned, like indigenous old ways, right? These ways of slowing down, of connecting with ourselves, connecting with maybe our ancestors, our roots, right? Um, that can feel uncomfortable and scary and all of these things new, Um, so I guess I'm just curious, any thoughts on that and any, wisdom you want to add to that
Mm,
piece,
yeah. Well, as you were talking about it, it just made me think about, the fear that people have, and it makes me curious about what sort of environment that they grew up in, or and even the current environment that they're in, to be so afraid. Like what happened to not feel comfortable with our own feelings and our
hmm
own body, right?
hmm
And so it gives me compassion when I see that or sense that, and I gently name, like, whatever you do, whatever you can to be comfortable, but at least, if you don't want to dip your toe, at least come close. Because I feel like people, when you're in a large group and you're doing this work, I feel like people feel it energetically. They feel the energy and I think that offers something too to like, wow, if they're uncomfortable, that they sense and they can see people are stepping in and it's not so scary. And so,
Yeah.
and not to be afraid. And because the more that we take care of ourselves in this way, and the more that we bring and ask people to come in to do this, we're being responsible about this collective care, right? It's come, it's okay, just even to sit. You don't need to do anything, but just see, sense, feel. And I think we all have a
Mm.
responsibility to, especially if we're doing these practices, to bring people in and putting them in different places that maybe we're not used to. Like I do this now, even with my children or my family, like my mom, and we all ground and bless our food and do that. But lately I've been like, let's stand and let's do this. And I could just close your eyes and
Mm.
follow me. And so I do it with my children. And when
Mm.
they bring their partners, their partners, I also have them, I just said, just gonna do some breath work. And then my favorite is that I always do with my sons is heart to heart. We hug
Mm.
for 20, 30 seconds and we just like take deep breaths together. And, because I can tell where they're at, and it, and then when we're done, it also does something to me and them to just like, ah, we synced in that way.
Yeah.
So I guess where I'm just landing with this fear is that, we'll gently bring people along, bring them in and just
Hmm.
have them do what is comfortable. Because I feel like it is our responsibility to take care of one another. And it's also everyone's responsibility to take risk. What are you going to lose to take a couple deep breaths?
And it might be nice. It might surprise, I think that's cool about this work too, is like moments where you're like, I don't know what you're saying, but then they try it and
Mhm.
then it's like, ooh, that
Mhm.
was good, that was nice. And yeah. Um, yeah. Because it's that one of the, the title of these conversations was like courage, care, and creativity, right? And I feel like you're speaking to at least that piece around courage, right? Like, yeah, what is that like to just even apply that to this, right?
Mhm.
Apply that to our own like healing, our own, maybe whatever that looks like, right? Those journeys look so different, I think, for all of us, right? Whatever, even that courage maybe to listen, to start to listen a little bit more, right? What are those little messages that we're getting, and how can we listen maybe even a little bit?
Yeah, I always
Yeah.
like to tell, particularly clients and groups that I'm working with, especially when they say, God, I felt great, I should do that more. And I'm like, well, here's your opportunity. Before we get off the Zoom call, I'm going to give you a minute. I gift you a minute and take that minute to take a couple of deep breaths, drink some water, go outside and stretch and come back for the next Zoom call. So I'm gifting you that minute. Or I'll challenge them, try every day before you get onto your meeting. Just do 3 deep breaths. Just notice it and then get on.
Yeah.
And or challenge them to pause.
Yeah.
It's interesting when I work with like Indigenous groups and non-Indigenous groups, like the pace for both. And
Mm.
I see it more so in non-Indigenous groups where they're going really fast, really fast. And so I feel like the pause, the silence, the noticing really helps them to kind of anchor down and then doing some body work. But it's been
Yeah.
fun. It's been fun experimenting. And now that Amira, my part-time employee who helps me and helps me hold space, she's really diving in and she'll bring in new practices that we've been playing with groups. So we're still learning. We're still continuing to
Yeah.
build our toolbox and so I do it not only for myself, but for my family, my intimate love pods,
Yeah.
and for groups and community, my business partners. So it's like kind of the walk, if you're going to talk about it, you got to walk it. And so I definitely been walking it.
That's okay. Yep. Yep. Well, as we wrap up this moment together, um yeah, like are there any like the year is coming to a close. I know next month, like there are there any events or any like online things or anything that you want to share with people to connect further with you? And I have two questions. And what, just as we leave, what are you taking forward? What are you like trying to continue to remember and learn for yourself, like in these next few months?
Mm. It's interesting. For these next couple of months, I feel like what I feel intuitively it's being told to me is to be more quiet,
Okay.
to be a hermit a little bit. And that's, yeah. So,
Mm,
and being quiet and being in reflective mode I definitely know I want to feel my body more in different ways. I'm like, ooh, what was that?
yeah, 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 yeah. That's a great space to be. Yeah. Yeah. And are there like, yeah, I know your podcast that I will link that if folks want to listen to
Oh,
that. But
cute.
yeah, anything else you want to share?
Well, I'll just tell folks, I would love for you to follow, subscribe to the podcast. And basically, I interview, I don't mean like say interview, storytell. I connect and have
Mm,
people tell their stories, their untold stories about who they are. And it's all Indigenous people from all over. And it's just beautiful. Everybody's so different in the wisdom that they offer. So there's that. And yeah, I got something up my sleeve for
do
2027,
you?
but I'm not ready
Okay.
yet.
Okay. That is
But when I'm
okay.
ready, I will let folks know. Maybe you've inspired me maybe to do some lives. I've not done live, so maybe I should challenge myself in 2027 to do a live podcast.
2027 or 2026? Wait, are we moving
Oh,
into 2026?
2026. I'm already in 2027.
Whatever that means. Okay.
Well, something in 2027. I'm gonna write down that number.
That is wild. I'm like, wait, where where are we? Oh man. Okay. That's exciting. Thank you for naming that. And that'll be nice, the stillness, the hermiting, the whatever that ends up looking like and being like. So thank you for being here and for
You.
being, yeah, and chatting. And I look forward to doing it more. And yeah. And
All right, everyone. We should
yeah.
all take a deep breath together, Sarah. Why don't you lead us?
Okay. I'm gonna invite in, yeah, some movement too, if you just want to like, you know, do any stretching, just getting along. I like inviting in that like spaciousness in our lungs, our vertebrae, and just taking a deep breath and then letting it out as we may move our arms. Yeah,
You
yeah,
take
yeah.
care.
Bye. You, yeah, take care.